Greetings, my Israelite brothers and sisters, everybody as well. Hope everything is copacetic with everybody. Just came out of service. We had a great 8-day feast. Everything was just wonderful, wonderful. So I wanted to chime in on my way, short drive that I'm doing. I wanted to chime in and check in to see how everybody is doing and at least see how your service has gone so far. If you notice, I called this the Spanish Inquisition. And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing that. Hello, Tia, how are you? I see a couple more other people inside the room. So I'm going to tell you why we call this the Spanish Inquisition, okay? And the reason why I'm going to call it, Tia says I'm fine just studying and researching. Wow, that's good. And it's a good day to do it on the 8th day. So I'm going to share with you all why I am talking about the Spanish Inquisition. Today is, I believe, October the 2nd. In 17 days, a little bit over 2 weeks, we're going to be at the Philadelphia Great Gathering Hebrew Conference. That's coming up. It's going to be in the beautiful city of love, brotherly love, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, October the 19th and the 20th. So I wanted to take the time to share with you some things about the Spanish Inquisition. Okay, so I wanted to do that. And let me tell you one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today. The Spanish Inquisition was, I believe the year was 1478. It was something that was enacted by the Roman Catholic government to send out a doctrine of Catholicism in the territories in which they control, which was pretty much a lot of the places. And the Inquisition basically protected the ideology of the religion. And what they did was they forced a lot of people to become Catholics, to be converted to the Romish Christianity or to the Romish understanding of Christianity. And they did that by forcing people to become baptized and to accept the doctrine of Christianity as interpreted by the Catholics. And this is what the Spanish Inquisition was really all about. In that, it was replacing the medieval Inquisition, because that's what they were under at that time. So they decided to replace it. Now, I'm going to go into the Inquisition a lot during the Philadelphia Hebrew Great Gathering Conference, when we go into the education of the people of the book. A lot of our scholastic information is coming out from books written regarding the Spanish Inquisition. Now, although these books are directly related to the Spanish Inquisition, the subjects or the people or those whom they were trying to convert, when they wrote and reported back to King John and some of the others, they wrote back concerning the black Jews in their official documents and in their diaries. When they wrote back to the king to report how the conversion process was taking place, they often reported that the black Jews, they often referred to them as the black Jews, how difficult it was because of their resiliency to their faith. And so you're going to be able to get that information when we go into the Philadelphia Great Gathering Hebrew Conference. Some of these books about the Inquisition cost in the neighborhood of 30, 40, 50, $60,000. This is the scholastic information. These books, this is the scholastic information that I was referring to that we're going to bring in addition to the Bible, to say or show who were the people of the book. Okay? Now, before I go further, I want to just lay the groundwork and the foundation of the premise in which we are coming. Salvation is for all. Okay? Whoever you are. This is why I always say to all of my Israelite brothers, whether you're natural, spiritual heirs, joint heirs, because the fact of the matter is that salvation has come upon as an available opportunity for all man who keeps the law of the Torah. The Torah law is not only for Israel, but it is for everybody, the stranger and those that want to sojourn with Israel. The same law that was given, the same law and covenant that was given to Israel is applicable to all those that want to become Israel. This is why I say natural and spiritual heirs and joiners. So I want to just lay that foundation before I go any further. Now, the reason I bring this to light is because there are certain things God said he would do to those that broke covenant with him. And we need to look at those and look at what's happening today, because you can understand the fate that it did not come from man, it came from God. And the only person that can change it is God. And remember the scriptures in the book of Nehemiah. When you start reading the first several chapters, he tells Nehemiah to tell the children of Israel, although you're in captivity, if you will listen and obey my voice in the land where you have been driven, I will return back unto you. So that's important to know, because one thing that would change anybody's condition, when you turn back to that Torah, there's an inherent promise that the Almighty cannot break. So that's important to know. Now, the Spanish Inquisition, the reason why we bring up those books is because those books have documented. It was like common knowledge that the Jews were black. They keep referring to them, the black Jews, the black Jews. And at one point, one of the people write back to the king in discussion. He was very disgusted with the fact that these Jewish people, these Jews, would not be baptized. They just refused to be baptized and to accept salvation as the way they wanted to indoctrinate the world. So they felt that what they had was the truth, and they wanted everybody to be baptized and to receive the faith. But Jews, a lot of the women, a lot of the men, they just refused, and they took the punishment that was cast upon them. So that is what the Spanish Inquisition is all about. But what's important when you look at those notes and the history, you might learn about the history in school, but certain things are left out. Certain comments and certain statements are left out of the school history books when it comes to the Spanish Inquisition, such as when they wrote back to the king, they referred to the Jews as these black Jews. They're rebellious. It's no wonder why the Almighty is punishing them. So everybody knew in the 14, 15, 1600s, they know who the people of the book were. As time went on, we just lost our identity from the transatlantic slave trade and coming to the Americas in 1619. That's 400 years ago. we just completely lost identity. When you don't know that you're the people of the book, you don't know. You don't even know that the history is about you, especially when you're in Hollywood and you watch movies like Ben-Hur, The Ten Commandments, and all the characters um, are portrayed as someone different than whom you look like. And so this is why a lot of people cannot find any identity, or they find no connection with the Bible. Um, and because it doesn't, you feel like it's not applicable to you. But let me just say this: it may be applicable to us, but it needs to be applicable to everybody today. It really does, because when the Messiah returns, it's going to be for judgment. Okay, so that's important to know. Tia also referred to the black Jews and the Moors. Yes, you had the black Jews and the Moors. Now, the Moors were basically Islamic. They were Jews who, out of fear for survival, had converted to be the Islamic faith. And so you find a lot of that today. Just like in Palestine today, in Israel. In Palestine today, what we have is we've got people, there are a lot of Palestinians who are, ye cannot inherit the kingdom of God. I don't know what I just said. That which is born of flesh is flesh. So I'm reconnected. I don't know. Everything went out, so we're good. Okay. So yeah. So basically, what happened was in Palestine, it's stated that there are a lot of black Palestinians. We don't see them on TV because we just see the ones in the forefront. But I've had people who have visited Israel and have gone into the West Bank, and some have gone over into the Gaza area. And there are people that are blue-black Palestinians. They don't get involved. They just move around, but they are actually, they know that they are the people of the book. They've always been in the land. Their forefathers have been in the land, but they know that they were converted over to Islam in order to survive. So you got the black Moors and the black Jews. So that's what distinguishes them both. The Palestinians are the residue of the Hebrew lights, according to that book I just sent you, written by a Jewish scholar. Thank you, Tia. Tia gets a lot of good stuff for me. Thank you, Tia, so much. She gets a lot of good stuff for me to go back and look at, and makes a lot of great connections. So I really, really appreciate that. So at the Great Gathering Hebrew Conference, we're going to be bringing a lot of scholastic information regarding the Spanish Inquisition. And when you look at it, and some people may have remembered, say, I remember that in school. But what you were not given, I'm bringing material that you were not given from the same books, but we got what they wanted us to have from those same books. What you're going to get, and what I'm going to show you from those same books, is that when they were complaining that it was difficult to convert, the number one group that was hard to convert is that how they referred to us was the black Jews. You know, these black Jews, they don't listen. I mean, it's really something, you know. So it's important to know. Yeah, Tia made mention of Miko Palid wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. Yeah, Miko Palid, you all look him up. He wrote a book called The General's Son. Miko Palid's father was a general in the Israeli army under the Zionist movement. And basically his grandfather under the Zionist movement was one of the founders who signed the Declaration or the Constitution. And basically he's been going around sharing what's really going on in Israel. um, today. In fact, a lot of people living in Israel who are so-called Jewish, they're frustrated. They have joined with the Palestinians, saying that what's taking place is unconstitutional. It's sort of like almost genocide. Now, I'm not there, so I'm only sharing what others have shared. Okay, so I'll leave it like that. But nonetheless, it's important that we understand when we get to the people of the book that the information we're going to give you is going to show you coming right out of Israel to Africa, right through the era of the Spanish Inquisition, right back to the west coast of Africa, then right there to the transatlantic slave trade, to all of the countries that were scattered abroad. So when they came into the new territory, into the Caribbeans, you were like gold. You were the tractor. You were the machinery. You were the hammer. You were the axe. You were the ones that were used to do the work. And so that information is what I'm going to bring to share. That back in the 14, 15, 1600s, who you were was common knowledge to everybody. It's just at some point in time, when we got to the 17 and 1800s, it was no longer discussed who you were, because you were considered not to be anybody. So this is important. So we're going to share that with you, and we hope that you'll enjoy what's coming up. So